Uh, I wasn't exactly sure what to say, except Jules is my absolute best friend in the world. And I met Jules in this program. And it was just kind of an interesting way how we met. It was something that I don't usually do, especially with like other females, is just like, introduce myself and basically be like, do you want to be friends? And it worked out. um, and so she's just a very incredible person. The growth that I've seen from her since I met her till now is pretty amazing. And just even when I talked to her on the phone, um, we have just in our relationship and whatever drifted, here and there. And the one thing that I always come back to with Jules is she's solid. Like she's solid and she's steady. And that has been an absolutely instrumental pillar for me. And I keep trying to work to be a good friend in return because Jules is like a pretty neat person. And I'm really excited to hear what she has to say today. So.
I'm gonna take my time. I'm just gonna slow down. I'm Jules, I'm an alcoholic. Yeah, I'm really grateful to be here today. I'm really grateful for this meeting. It's something that I look forward to every Sunday. And thank you, Jesse, for introducing me. I met Jesse at a women's meeting that my sponsor like highly encouraged me to go to, and I'm really grateful that she did because that's how I met Jesse. And like when I think of the friends that I have in sobriety, I feel like I've talked to Jesse the most about recovery. And all through like my ups and downs. So I'm really grateful she's here. And thank you, Stanley, for asking me. It was due time. This is very outside my comfort zone, to talk in front of everyone. Um, but yeah, I'll start from the beginning. I was born and raised in Great Falls, Montana. I wasn't really surrounded by alcohol growing up. My dad was in recovery from what I could remember. My parents separated when I was younger due to my dad's alcoholism, and my mom didn't really drink very much. But something that I think back on was this like weird like duality growing up, where like when I was with my dad, I was very like there weren't a lot of rules, and um I was mostly like left to myself or with my sister. Um and then when I was with my mom, we moved into my grandparents' house. Um and it was just very strict. And I always felt like this weird sense of like shame around like my dad and him being an alcoholic, and I think like my mom's side had some like resentments. Um but like often I was asked when I came back home to my grandparents' house like if I ate, what I ate, and like just kind of like this shame around him. And then at the same time I was like on the defense about it, because weirdly enough, even though I hadn't drank, I could relate to him more. Um and I think I also was like making a lot of excuses for him when I was younger. But yeah, I was mostly surrounded by my grandparents and my mom. Um, and we grew up Catholic. And we were very like involved in the church. I did the Catholic education program and went 3 days a week and helped my grandma make the bread. And I think from that, I had a really hard time when I came into the program, because I associated a higher power with what I learned growing up. Um, I feel like, at least for me, it didn't just like stop with church, it was also like in our home. So it wasn't just like being in the Catholic Church. I think it was like the transfer over, because a lot of the times when something difficult or traumatic would happen, like we didn't necessarily address it. They would just say to pray about it. Um, and I think with like doing the repetitive confession made me feel like something was like wrong with me and I was bad. And so ever since I was young, I just felt very out of place. And I think that would have happened whether or not that was how I was raised. I think it's something just like deep inside me. Um, but yeah, so I had a lot of trouble when I first came into the program. Um, and yeah, again, I wasn't really surrounded by alcohol. Um, my mom eventually married someone that's Mormon, so I definitely wasn't around alcohol. And I was like I was really jealous of my friends that had family that like would drink. Like I was like frustrated that my dad wasn't able to just like drink normally, and I was like, my mom can drink normally, so why doesn't she drink? Um you know? So I was really confused by that. And then with my stepdad, I was like, I don't know, that's you just don't drink. But it was really interesting because although I wasn't like raised Mormon, I was influenced by a lot of it because that was um kind of one of my parents, and so like there were things that were not allowed in the house, or just like things you're not allowed to do. So again, it was like somewhat strict. And so the first time that I drank, I think I was in middle school. I don't remember exactly what age I was, but I was like pet sitting, house sitting for my mom's friend, and it was like my first little job. And I ended up going downstairs and there's just a like a wall of alcohol, and I ended up drinking it. Um because there was never alcohol around me, so I was very curious. And I continued to drink and I couldn't stop. Um and I remember the following day, like, even though I was young, I was like, I'm not going to drink. Like, I do not want to turn out like my dad or the other addicts in my family. And so that, like, that fear that I had, it kind of it went like all through high school. I almost like made this like pact to myself. And so through high school, I didn't drink. I didn't like go to parties, but a thing that's like more attainable is drugs, I think. Especially in Great Falls. And so I just like I thought I was doing great because I wasn't drinking, but instead I just found something else to become obsessed about. Um, and yeah, so I used that instead and just like experimented with different drugs. And I used that to kind of numb myself. Um, and then eventually I left Great Falls and I came to college here. And I remember like, I still had that thing where I was like, I'm not gonna drink, but I was also like trying to make friends and be normal and like try and like fit in with other people, or just like, I don't know. I just felt very different. Like, even then, like, I felt like no matter like what group I was around, I felt like I wasn't supposed to be there and that everyone could tell I wasn't supposed to be there. Um, but I started drinking and it was more just like on the weekends. But every time I did drink, I would black out. Um, and I had this friend that I met. She was my roommate in college, and she was like she's the oldest sibling, and her parents are young, and so she just kind of like took on the role of taking care of me, and then I became the person that she needed to rescue, so it wasn't like the most like healthy relationship. um it was nice for me though. um so that was another thing, was like when I was drinking, when I started drinking like that, um like in my head I was like, as long as she's there, she's not gonna let anything bad happen to me. um and she didn't. Like, she was very like protective and would make sure that I got home, and like constantly be like looking for where I was at. And I don't know if she had much fun during all of that, but um then eventually it's like we got older, and although we were close, we weren't around each other all the time, and but my drinking didn't stop. Um so I put myself in like a lot of unsafe situations, and from that I would feel terrible, and then I would drink. And so it was just like this like compulsive thing where I was like trying to forget everything, and then the more things would happen, I would just it was just like this terrible cycle. Um but yeah, I was thinking about how it progressed, but at the same time, like I feel like I started to like revolve my life around it. Like when I got out of the dorms, I moved in with my coworker that was like of age, and I was like, this is perfect because now I can drink. And I would drink constantly. And I remember thinking like, this is what adults do. I wasn't 21 yet. But I was like, this is what like my mom should have been doing. Like, this is normal. And um I remember like the friends that I made. I had like this group of like gal friends that I made right when I got to college, and they ended up coming over and having an intervention for me, and I thought it was like the most ridiculous thing. Um because I was like, I'm just like drinking wine. Like, this isn't like this like yeah, I thought it was no big deal. So I definitely minimized their concerns, but also at the same time I reassured myself that I just needed to hide it from them. Um and so I kind of decided like who I would be around, the people that would support my drinking, um that I could support their drinking. And I feel like I drifted further away from the other friendships of like people that genuinely cared about me. Um yeah. I was thinking about how the first time that I admitted that I was like powerless over alcohol in a sense, was to my doctor. I was like, at this point, I was drinking every day. And there's a lot of things that happened in between, but it's just a lot of long stories. And I was losing the people that I cared about. Um, my family did not trust me anymore, and that was because I didn't show up for them. So whether that was like being present in a conversation or just like physically not being there, I wasn't very reliable. And um the friend that I had, that was very much there for me. She was exhausted. She was babysitting me for years basically, and I think she started to realize, she was like, this isn't what friendship is supposed to be like. And so she gave me like a lot of like I don't know if it would be like ultimatums, but she would just tell me that she like couldn't do it anymore. And like at the same time it was like I like in my head I thought I respected all of these people, but like alcohol just came first, like no matter what. And I didn't know how to like really like do anything about it. So I ended up after like a week-long bender, I went to the doctor and it was like it was in the morning and I told her that I thought I had a problem with alcohol. And we kind of set up. I was also drunk during the appointment. It was like it was really early in the morning and I remember I was like I'm gonna tell her, but I need to be drunk to tell her. Um, and like I was drunk during a lot of the appointments, so when I actually came to tell her, she knew. Um, but yeah, so we were gonna come up with a game plan and there she offered like a few solutions where she was telling me that there was like a medication that would make you sick when you drink and she's like but I don't think you're going to take it, you're just going to drink. And then she sent me up with like a substance therapist and I was like okay, I'll do that. I met up with her once over Zoom and I just was like this is not for me. um and I remember right after that appointment with my doctor, I was like, I was so glad that I told someone. I was like, wow, perks to me. I'm gonna go to the bar. And so yeah, and there was it was still early, but there was a bar that was open. And I ended up just going there by myself and drinking and I ended up like I don't know. I ended up getting kicked out of the bar for how much I was drinking. And then I tried getting back in and it was like this whole ordeal where like my sister didn't live here, but she tried to get me an Uber and um I ended up getting hurt and I ended up coming back home and then drinking all of my roommates' alcohol, which they would hide from me. And this was like just like an everyday occurrence. And I would just like and I would pass out and then I would wake up and do it all over again, sometimes the same day. Um, and I remember during around this time, I went to lunch with my dad, and he had been sober for about like 12 years. And I was asking him if he was tempted by all the like alcohol on the walls in the restaurant, and he said no. And then he was like, actually, I should probably talk to you about like something that happened. And he let me know that he relapsed. And so after hearing that, I was like, this like AA doesn't work. Like if he relapsed after that many years and he's not around alcohol, like how does that even happen? And so that kind of like reaffirmed to me that like there was no solution for me in my head. Um and that is something that my sponsor brings up is contempt prior to investigation. And I had so many assumptions about AA before I got in, even after I got into AA, because I had a lot of beliefs and ideas and I just stuck to those all the time. And there was a lot of judgment. Um, and I feel like that just kind of fed my alcoholism is having these judgments about AA. Um, and so again, like my drinking was getting worse and I couldn't remember the last day that I didn't drink. And I was hiding it all the time and I was lying to my roommates and my friends. I was dependent on them too. I would drink at work. They were helping me pay rent. Um, yeah, I was just like taking advantage of everyone that I cared about in my life. And yeah, the last day of my drinking, I remember I was kind of being like babysat by my friend again, and uh she was going everywhere with me, like everywhere. Um she would not let me be alone, and it was very frustrating to me. But she just cared a lot. Like now looking back on it, I was just so selfish. And yeah, we uh she was in a relationship at the time, and she was like, I'm gonna like go on a date, and I was like, okay, that's fine, I'll be good. And she took my keys and she took my wallet to make sure I didn't drink, but I still found a way. And I ended up going to the gas station, getting alcohol, coming back because I had my passport. And I would find all of these ways. It was kind of like this fun game where if like someone tried to like stop me from drinking, I was like, why? I know how to get a drink. Um, yeah, so I ended up like I truly started that day like thinking I wasn't going to drink because I was still drinking behind her back during that time when it was like her watching my every move. I would find a way. And then yeah, I ended up going to the gas station, coming back and going like back and forth. And each time I would go, I would just grab more alcohol. And eventually she came home and she just popped by the house and she opened like the bottom of the bathroom, like, and there was just like alcohol in there. And she poured it out, and I was just like I was so upset. Um and I remember after that I was alone. My other roommates left, and I was thinking to myself about how like I truly can't I can't like continue drinking, but I can't imagine living life without it. Like I thought of those that I knew sober, and I knew very few people, and I just had this like idea that they were miserable, which is completely the opposite. But yeah, I ended up feeling like there was no solution whatsoever. And um I ended up in the hospital because I didn't want to live anymore. And I don't remember like a whole lot about that night. Like how it even came to that. Um but um after I was in, I was full of so much shame, and um I didn't and that like secrecy that we have like when we feel like we do something wrong. um and I did not want anyone to know. I didn't want my roommates to know. I felt like yeah, I didn't want anyone to know. And my aunt actually worked at the hospital, so after I woke up, I was in a different room. It was very strange, like looking back on that. Um, but she came to me, and I just told her that I just need to get out of here. I don't want anyone to know. And she was like, "You're just going to continue drinking if you leave right now." Um, and she watched me like she was also a part of it. She had reached out to someone in AA prior to this that had a good amount of time, kind of asking for help. Um, and she was doing a lot for me. Um, but I'm really glad that I listened to her, because at that point I didn't know what to do. I feel like I didn't really have anything to lose or to gain. Or like I just felt very empty. Um, but I feel like that emptiness definitely opened the door. And so I stayed in the hospital, and before I knew it, I had like 2 weeks, and I was like, this is just crazy. And also while I was in there, I uh was seeing like a counselor. Um, and I started talking about things that I've never told anyone. And that was really helpful. And I remember him saying this thing. I kind of took offense to it, but now I look back and I'm like, okay, that makes sense. But he was saying that just from like talking to me a little bit, he was like, you're always like you seem to be trying to make yourself like smaller, like even like physically. And at that time I was like in a little ball. Um and he was saying that I was trying to make my voice smaller and everything smaller about myself. And he was saying if I was on the plane and I wanted to look out the window, or I wanted to be on the outside, like I would let whoever it is to take those two spots and like be in the most uncomfortable. And I definitely like I was like upset about that, but I think about that a lot um now, of like how when even like in sobriety, if I'm not like connected with other people and I'm not connected to the program, I do make myself very small. I think like insecurity takes over, and doubt and shame and all of these things. But when I talk to other people in the program, I feel like they can relate to a lot of the things that I'm saying. And I don't feel as small. Um, and yeah, I'm gonna read a part from the book because I think I'm going pretty fast through this right now. Um, so um shortly after that I was thinking about drinking when I got out of the hospital. Um, so I'm gonna come back to this later. Um, but I was thinking about kind of planning my next drink, even though I was very proud of myself. Um, and I worked with this gal that was sober, and I remembered like always asking her when I was drinking, like how she did it. Because she wasn't in the program and she just decided to. And I was just very curious and I didn't understand it at all. Because the person that I knew that was sober was in the program. Um, and yeah, she ended up reaching out to me, saying that she saw one of her past friends bowling, sober bowling, and she invited her to a meeting. And then so then my coworker invited me to the meeting as well. And I remember sitting, it was in the zoo group, and I did not introduce myself. I just sat there. And in my head, I was like, I'm doing this for her. Even though she had been sober for a while, I was like, this isn't for me, this is for her. And I knew that I needed it, I just didn't want it. Um, and yeah, I sat through that meeting and she introduced herself, and so it was a first step meeting. And I was sitting next to her, so it felt like everyone was still talking at me. So it did feel like a first step meeting for me too. Um, and yeah, I remember that meeting. There was mostly women. And when I remembered going to a meeting when I was younger, with my dad, I remember it was mostly men. And so that was really refreshing. It was like another assumption, um, that I had prior to getting in, that I just kind of stuck to. And so seeing women and them sharing their stories, I could relate to a lot of it. Um, and so then I came back the next day, um, and continued to, and I got a sponsor, and um that that it was good. I really enjoy her like as like a friend. Um and eventually I think she was trying to make me comfortable because if I'm uncomfortable with something, I just don't want to do it. I just kind of shut down. And the thing that I was uncomfortable doing was talking about God or a higher power. Um I related that to um how it was when I was younger, and I just didn't want anything to do with it. And so she kind of avoided that for me. But as time was going on in the program, I needed something different. And I remembered I remember hearing this woman speak, and she was very calm, and she talked really slow, and she was just very refreshing too. And she was talking about um her higher power and spirituality. And I remember thinking like that is something I'm definitely lacking. And so I reached out to her and I told her that I was like wanting her as a sponsor, and she told me to reach out to other women. Not that she didn't like want me, but she was just like, I want you to be sure. Um, and so I met up with some women, and from that I made some friends, but which was really helpful too. Um, and then I came back to her and I said that I still wanted her as a sponsor, and um we just started getting into it. And um she asked me on the phone. She told me that she had these like few rules where one of them was to never lie to her. And she asked me if I have a higher power, and I was very desperate in that moment, so I said yes. And because I think like deep down, like I knew that I did. I just felt like I wasn't like connected to it at all, and I needed to figure out what it was that was like inside myself that was keeping me so far from it. Um, and yeah, we ended up meeting up and working through like a lot of that. I would say like it was religious trauma that I had. Um, and not associating it with my higher power. That was when I got into the program and I read that on the wall, the word God, I was very terrified. Um, because I kind of made this like pact to myself as a kid that I wasn't gonna go to church anymore. Like I wasn't gonna do all of these things that I had to do. And like I would like romanticize as a kid like being an adult and like not being told that I have to do these things. Um and I feel like I was thinking about that more and more of all of the things that I would tell myself that I didn't have to do. So back to the when I came into the program, um she helped me through a lot of that. She listened to me. There was meetings where I was like super emotional, like needing to do like the prayer, and she would just listen to me and talk to me, and she didn't force anything on me. She just started like little by little, where like when we would meet up, she would start with like a prayer. Um and um the one that I like read a lot is the set aside prayer. Um where it's talking about like setting aside everything that you think you know about yourself, this disease, the 12 steps, and you, which is your higher power, and having an open mind. And I think that was something I was really lacking when I came to the program and with spirituality too. Because I thought I knew everything. Um, I thought I knew everything about the program too, even though I didn't. And so that's helpful for me still today. Um, because again, I have like these preconceived notions of how things are and how things are supposed to be. Um, I'm gonna read a little part from the book. Um, so it says, an acceptance is the answer to all my problems today. When I am disturbed, it is because I find some person, place, thing, or situation, some fact of my life unacceptable to me, and I can find no serenity until I accept that person, place, thing, or situation as being exactly the way it's supposed to be at this moment. Nothing, absolutely nothing, comes in God's world by mistake until I could accept my alcoholism. I could not stay sober unless I accept life completely on life's terms. I cannot be happy. And this part is big for me. I need to concentrate not so much on what needs to be changed in the world as on what needs to be changed in me and my attitudes. Um, and when I first got in the program, I was looking for anything that would keep me from staying in it. And I made this realization that like this program is a lot different than um how it was for me growing up. And I started to like write down the differences because all I could see when I got in here was similarities. And um like in this program, you look at your defects, but it's not to shame you. It's to like grow and help you and have connections with the people that you love and treating them with respect. And I didn't see that. Like I thought looking at all of these things was to shame and guilt people, and it's not the case at all. Um, and so once I was told that like my higher power is whatever I make it, it's different for me than it is for everyone else, and theirs is different for them. Um, that's something that I like always I need to like remind myself. Because having someone tell you what it is, definitely takes it away from you. For me. Um, uh, yeah, so after getting sober, um, and getting a new sponsor, I feel like I definitely had a lot of ups and downs. Like I feel like it wasn't just like up and up. Like there were a lot of mistakes that I've made and like still are um probably to come. But um so it's yeah, it's strange because like I thought like the longer I was in sobriety, like I would only become like quote better. Um but that doesn't yeah, things come up and my defects come up and things that I didn't know about myself come up. Um and I feel like by like just continuing to be in the program and not like worrying so much about what's going to happen next has definitely helped me. Um and yeah, where I'm at today is I go to a lot of meetings and um I have sponsees and they're really amazing. Like I was really surprised anyone would ask me. But yeah, they've just given me so much perspective. Um, like being around them, like it's what everyone says where it helps you more than them. But or it helps yeah, it helps you more than them. But yeah, I don't know. I'm really grateful for that experience and I'm still learning like while doing that. Because again, like what I was saying is a lot of it is like about acceptance and not trying to like control outcomes. And that's very like difficult for me. Um, and yeah, so I continue going to meetings. I'm sponsoring people. Um, taking on service positions is really important to just get like connected with other people in AA. And yeah, I like thinking back on how it was before and really reflecting on it Like I'm just like insanely grateful for what my life is like today. Like it's there's a lot of like hard times in it. But yeah, it's nothing that I ever imagined it being like. And so yeah, I'm just really grateful and I'm grateful for everyone. Thank you.